Okay, I'd like to call the City of Elkhorn Common Council November 6, 2023, 5:30 meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bruce Lechner,
Here.
Tim Sharota,
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Here.
Ron Dunwoody is absent, Scott McClory,
Here.
Ken Minell,
Here.
Carol Young. Here.
Next, on the agenda, I am going to be switching 6 and 7, flopping those two around, so when I get to that point, we'll do that first. But first, public comment. Anybody here for public comment tonight? Nobody for public comment? We'll move on. We have the consent agenda. We have the council meeting minutes of October 16th, 2023, and October 3rd, 2023. They're all in your packet.
I move we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes passed for October 16th and October 23rd. Next, we're going to do the report of city officers. Tonight, I got a couple items. First one, I'd like to recognize Greg and Brenda Kaplan and Karen Powers of Elkhorn Pastry, who just recently retired after, I think, 68 years being in the family business, correct? We just want to express thanks and gratitude for your dedicated service to the Elkhorn community from you and your family throughout the Elkhorn, through the Elkhorn Pastry Shop. So if we could have both of you guys come up here, George. All three of you. Are you enjoying retirement so far, Greg?
Yes.
Are you still up all night?
I'm working on that.
There's no hiding place for me.
No, but thank you all. I appreciate it. I'm not much for words. Enjoyed my whole time here and will continue to be here in Elkhorn, so.
Appreciate it.
It's been a long time. Well, he was known as the night Elkhorn mayor.
Yes, he was. He sat out front a lot.
Yes.
And then I do have one more. We have Gail Grace. She was at the library for 27 years and she just retired. So I'd like to present her with a plaque and wish her the best on her retirement and hope to see you around there a lot. But I know you've been through a lot and Chad can probably talk about a lot of stories too for all the years. So.
I was gonna say, turn the plaque around.
Carl's trying to get out of the way.
It's their turn. Duck. Thank you.
You'll be stopping in.
I will.
Well, thank you again. Next, Adam, City Administrator.
So we have some good updates for tonight. First off, we actually had the Lakeland Little Learners came by City Hall on October 31st for Halloween. They did a little march through, got some candy, and I want to give the city staff credit for really upping our Halloween spirit this year. So it was a certified haunted house over here for about an hour, so that was good, good community effort. Also, kudos to the rec department. They organized Beast Fest this year, which was a first time community activity where they worked with local businesses to try and get, had a scavenger hunt. They had the Beast of Bray Road made some live appearances, both at local businesses here at City Hall. So thank you, Carl. You guys did a good job on that. just wanted to say that I had a meeting with Batterman Engineering about last week of October. They just want to talk about, the city, what was going on. They said they're planning on renewing their lease here in the city and looking to expand their presence. So they said things are going really well and they're happy to be here. As I emailed the council today, the Cook family has put their property up for sale formally, and we have a meeting this Wednesday with Madison Commercial Real Estate and Newman Developments on trying to, put a new residential subdivision on their property. So that is moving along quickly. So I'll certainly give you more updates on that. And then just as a FYI, we're planning on the DPW and the Common Council. My understanding is you guys are going to be participating in the Christmas parade again this year if you want to. So more details to follow on that. So I know some of you guys participated last year, but we're planning on entering again. So get ready for that. So that's it for me in terms of updates, unless the council has any questions.
Any questions, council? Okay, now we'll go back to the presentation. Joe Murray, Senior Municipal Advisor, Ehlers and Associates. We have the overview of financing options for proposed 2024 to 2028 capital improvement plan and the impact of future debt service payments on city tax rates.
Just so the mayor knows, unfortunately, Joe
Couldn't make it.
Yeah, couldn't make it, so we have Harry Allen tonight, who's Joe's colleague. So.
Yep. Thanks, Adam.
Yep.
Yep. Harry Allen with Ellers. Adam had asked us to put together what your capital improvement plan funding plan would look like, looking at the debt side. So tonight I'm just going to talk about the general obligation side, so the side that hits the property tax. There's other parts of your capital improvement plan for sewer, water, electric, but those are supported by other revenues of the city. So I'm only touching on the property tax supported portion tonight. So there's some schedules included in your packet. I'll go over this first one a little quickly. This is just making some assumptions for your value into the future. The city has experienced pretty substantial growth in your values over the last 5 years. So we don't want to use that same larger growth going into the future. You've been around 10% for the past 5 years. That's your average. So going forward, we discounted that quite a bit. And the numbers included in the model are assuming a 4% growth in value year over year. So it's lower than you have been, but still, I think, in the ballpark of where you might end up when we're looking 20 years out. So we can move along to the next page. This is table 2. This is giving you an idea of where is the city today before we touch anything with the capital improvement plan. What does your debt service look like? So off to the left is your total GO debt payment every year, which for 24 is around $4 million, and stepping down from there as you pay off your debt. And then you have several abatement sources. So these are non-property tax sources that are paying for your debt. You have some transfers from electric and water, sewer, TID number 4 is picking up a portion, and then you have premium left over from your last sale last year. So when we take all those abatements into account, the amount of debt service that's supported by the property tax levy is around $2.9 million and staying around that level, starting to drop in 2027. Moving along to table 3, these are all the capital improvement projects that have been contemplated that are going to be funded by debt. And so in 2024, we have around $3.7 million of projects that would be funded by debt. There's a caveat here that the city will likely issue GO bonds. When you issue GO bonds, you have to issue them under an enumerated purpose. So some of the projects that are contemplated for debt next year don't fall under one of those enumerated purposes. So there's a minor portion that can't be funded by a bond issue. Could be funded by a 10-year note issue, but not a 20-year bond. So that amount in total is around $250,000. It's largely police equipment, which just isn't a statutory allowed use for GO bonds. So the intent right now is to fund that with cash. And then looking at future years, since we're trying to get a longer outlook here, 25 has around 6 million of projects, 3.5 in 26, about the same in 27, and then 28 has another larger issue of around 7 million. So we can chug along to table 4, where we're taking all those projects and we're turning those into debt transactions. In 2024, we're modeling out about a $3.5 million issue. There's a lot of columns off here to the right that are breaking that out by those enumerated purposes under statute. When you issue bonds, you're just issuing one debt transaction, but you have to issue it under all these different purposes. So the majority is streets. There's also parks and fire, as well as police facilities. Police equipment isn't allowed, but you can bond for police facilities. So that's just for an elevator. In total, that's 3.4 million of project costs, so it would be supported by the bonds, and then that translates to 3.5 million of debt being issued when you add in the cost of issuing that. And then we included the 25 through 28 issues here. But we can chug along to table 5, and do feel free to ask questions if you have them as I'm going through this. Table 5 is taking all of those projects that are being funded in 2024 and translating them into a debt service schedule to get you an idea of what your annual payment might be. The market is currently around 4.5% for a 20-year bond. That's about what we have modeled here. We're anticipating that rates will likely stay in that neighborhood for the next year before we start to see some declines in rates. We did see a slight drop this week just because the Feds didn't take action at their meeting last week to increase rates, so that's good news. Hopefully we stay in this ballpark by the time we issue debt next year. Your annual payments that we're projecting would be around $300,000 on a 20-year bond. Then we can move on to table 6. And the next two tables will look really similar. Table 6 is taking the 5 years of bonds, putting them into here, and then I'll break out just the 2024 issue on the next schedule. The important numbers to look at here are the ones under the debt service levy in the orange, kind of off to the right. So right now you're at that 2.85 million of debt service supported by the property tax. We're showing that would step up next year to around 3.3 million. So that's about a $450,000 step up, and that's with not amortizing any principal next year. So that's the lowest payment that we could expect. When we do go through and sell the bonds, there will probably be a premium. So I would expect the actual impact on the 2025 to be a little bit less than we show here, just based on how the underwriter will price things. But understand, new debt will likely increase the property tax levy needed to pay for debt service. So we have that going up in 2025, and then even step-ups of around $300,000 for each subsequent issue, which by 2029 would have your debt service levy at around 4.45 million, so about 1.6 million higher than it is today. We wanted to show what this means to $100,000 of home value, just to drive home what the impact is. And we're showing that this year you actually will see a decline in how much is supported by the property tax, well, $100,000 a home value for debt service. So we're seeing a decline of around $16 on tax bills for debt service. That largely has to do with a larger growth in equalized value than we expected when we were running our models for last year's debt. And then we're showing increases in future years based on that increase in overall debt service. So around $28 impact in 25, and then smaller impacts in the neighborhood of $10 in the future years. So there is a property tax impact, but it's not too large. Then we can look at 6B, where we back out all those future issues and we just look at what the impact of the 2024 borrowing would be. And you see that $28 increase in 2025, and then it drops down in future years, which is good news. That means you can slot in new debt in future years and have a less of an impact. So not all of that is increase in the levy, only a portion of it would. So that's good news that your debt is structured to fall off in future years. That makes it easier to absorb the impact of new debt. And then we can move on to table 7. This is looking at how much of your debt limit you're using. So the state limits you to 5% of your TID in equalized value. So that's the total value of the city. That's the maximum amount of principal that can be outstanding in debt for the city. So we're projecting at the end of 2023, you will have used 58% of that limit. And then we're building in all these new issues, and you really don't exceed 60%. So that's good news. You're really not seeing any change in your leverage of that debt limit capacity. So it's good news there. It's kind of keeping status quo going into the future. That's everything I had to present. When we do get to the point of sale for next year, we'll come before you with an initial resolution. And once that's adopted, it's probably about a 60-day window until there will be money in hand at the city. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions anybody has for me.
Council members, any questions? Adam?
I just have one question. Harry, have you seen, what have you seen for the debt limits in terms of percentages in other communities, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, we've definitely seen more use of debt for all communities in Wisconsin, just looking at the limitation of levy limits. There's not really a lot of opportunity to grow your levy year over year, so it's driving more capital projects to debt. So we've seen that ticking up, but I'd say most are around 50 to 60%. So you're right in the median, I'd say.
Anything else, council? Okay, well, thank you, Harry, and
Perfect, thank you.
thank you very much. Next, we have unfinished business, discussion on possible decision regarding special event permit application from Ski Extreme Productions LLC to use Bayman Park for filming promotional water ski video on September 7th, 2024. I see this was in our packet, and it did come from the Park and Rec Board with their referral denying the special applications, which, Gary, do you have anything to add about?
Just that, you know, we're all concerned that we really weren't gonna get anything for it. You know, and it's a public lake, you know, you can't privatize it, so.
Okay.
So I'd make a motion to deny.
We have a motion to deny the special event permit. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Motion passed to deny the special event permit application from Ski Extreme. Moving on to new business. First, we have the interview of Michael J. Fitzsimmons, ESQ, for temporary municipal judge for the term of December 14th, 2023 to April 30th, 2024. This came out of committee to do this process, correct? Okay.
Would you come up to the
If you can come
table,
up to the table, and
or if you want to stand at the podium?
as long as we got the microphone on, we're good there, so. Welcome, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good, good. So we have some questions here.
Sure.
I'm gonna read a couple, and then the council's gonna read some too. So, first one is, what is your experience in municipal court, either as an attorney or a party?
I think I represented 2 clients with speeding tickets in municipal court. Definitely not as a party, but that's my experience.
Okay,
Not a lot.
okay,
Plenty of experience in county circuit court, though.
okay. Have you ever been to Elkhorn Municipal Court? And are you familiar with the way that Elkhorn Municipal Court handles citations from intake to pretrial to trial?
I'm not as familiar as I will hopefully be at some point, but I've talked with Attorney Cotter, talked with Attorney Duquette, and I think I'm going to go on the 8th. I think they have court again, so I'm going to observe there as well.
Okay.
I think I'm up.
Tim?
Do you have a judicial philosophy?
You know, I don't suppose I do yet. I know Claudia Last has done a fantastic job with everything so far, and I think I'll probably learn a lot from her on how to keep things running smoothly.
Ken?
Do you have any pre-existing relationships with anyone at the Elkhorn Police Department that would raise any questions about your ability to be impartial?
No, I don't. The only police officer I really know is Dan Croak. His son and my son are on the same baseball team, but I don't think there's any conflict there.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Gary?
Please describe your priorities for your term in office and your specific qualifications to effectively address those issues.
I think my priority is probably going to be learning quite a bit and as much in as short a time as I can. I know it would only be initially for 4 months, but I'll be working with Attorney Cotter a lot. Hopefully Attorney Duquette would take some questions, but yeah, I think the learning curve is going to be pretty high.
Scott?
How would you handle juvenile offenders with the goal of reducing and discouraging repeat offenders?
You know, I'm not sure exactly what the options are for municipal court as far as disposition, but I know there's potential fines involved, there's community service involved, and hopefully trying to strike a balance with whoever the juvenile offender is and making sure they understand the consequences and making sure that nothing like that happens again, I guess.
Carol?
What have you learned, excuse me, from your professional and community experience that will assist you in working with people from diverse personal, economic, and social backgrounds who will come before your court?
You know, I did criminal defense work for about 10 years. Certainly a lot of diverse personalities there, and I've been a guardian ad litem for the county for about 5 years, and I've certainly encountered many different types of personalities and different parents and kids in my cases. And I think my experience has been making good recommendations, I think, to the court.
Thank you.
You were talking with your neighbor. She informed you that she's in the process of hiring a new babysitter for their 3-year-old. You recognize the name of the person she wants to hire as that of a juvenile who you've seen in court 3 times. What do you do?
Don't discuss it. I think everything in municipal court is absolutely confidential. I think that's paramount.
Yeah. Thank you. I just got one more. What makes you want to be municipal judge?
I think it's going to be a challenge for me. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be a way for me to serve the community in another way. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Council, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask her?
No.
Scott?
I'd be interested to know, what do you think as far as the balance of time? I assume you're still going to be doing guardian ad litem work for the county?
I am, yeah. It's my understanding that this would take probably about 2 days a month. I imagine more initially, because like I said, the learning curve is going to be pretty high for me, but I imagine 2 to 3 days a month. And that's certainly something I can fit in my calendar.
Okay.
I kind of set my own calendar, so that's something I will fit in.
Any other questions, council? Okay. Well, thank you, and we'll move on to the next, and we have the discussion and possible decision regarding appointment of temporary municipal judge from December 14th, 2023 to April 30th, 2024. Council members?
I guess I'd like to, if it's allowed, see if our current city clerk has any questions for our candidate?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
What about our current municipal court clerk?
I think she would be the better one to ask.
I just wanted to give you both an opportunity.
I'm still learning too.
Right. So I'd like to hear from Claudia.
Claudia, can you come up to the, it's got to be on record, sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. But
Either one.
I know you've talked in the past about how much time and effort and work and et cetera, so I'm interested in your input.
I had a fairly lengthy and good conversation with Attorney Fitzsimmons last week. I think we have a pretty good understanding, and I think I don't have any additional questions to what was asked.
Okay.
I understand where he's coming from, and I think we'll be able to work it out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Thank you, Claudia. Anybody have any else? Would you like to make a decision? Council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the appointment of temporary municipal judge. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ken Minell.
Yes.
Motion passed for the appointment of Michael Fitzsimmons to temporary municipal judge. Welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'll be reaching out about some paperwork.
All right, next, I got the public hearing regarding the proposed 2024 municipal budget. Anybody here for the public hearing? I'll ask a second time. Anybody here for the public hearing for the budget 2024? And I'll ask the third time. Anybody here for the public hearing for the budget? I declare the public hearing closed for the 2024 municipal budget. Next, discussion regarding proposed 2024 municipal budget and levy for tax payables in 2024. Any questions for Adam on anything, or Adam, do you have anything to add?
I do, if Matt can, we're gonna attempt to do a share here, so.
So if you just went to that,
I just need the code.
it's right here, the screen.
749.
Thank you. Apparently everybody can see it but me, so that's good. Yeah, it's not a valid meeting ID.
Super.
Are you sure you got the right address?
You said you said zoom.us.share. Or-
That was for Zoom, but if it's HTTP
Oh, okay.
192.168.
All right.
It's a good thing you guys rehearsed this today.
This is what I told Matt. I said, you're gonna put me on the spot and it's gonna be a
Changes
problem.
it changes.
Sorry.
Tough crowd.
I know.
Yeah.
There's your flag right there.
It says it's connecting. We'll see. All right, look at that. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, I just wanted to give a couple quick pieces of information. So the total budget for the total municipal budget we're looking at for 2024 is $64,996,625. That there is a projected deficit of $228,822, and that's largely because the water fund has depreciation of $843,755, and the electric department has depreciation of $636,347. Some cities include depreciation, some don't in their budget. The ones that don't, obviously, then don't have a deficit. But the auditors recommended we include it because it just is a good reminder to us that you should be budgeting a certain amount every year for capital improvements in the future. So that's why we included it. And just so you can get a quick overview, these are all the departments listed by most highest expenditures to least. You can see electric department is the most at $16 million, and water and sewer, not surprisingly, up there as well. The biggest reason for, let's say, water and sewer having a higher expenditures in 24 is because we do have a lot of capital projects planned, so as the council's aware. And then there's the rest of the list there. I'm not going to necessarily go through every single one. If you'd like to look at this really large little pie chart here that can't fit everything in it. But just that gives you a quick idea that, again, electric, water, sewer are at the top for budget, followed by debt service, EMS, law enforcement, risk management, fire protection, as it works its way around, public works, and then some of the public works capital projects. So just a quick overview there. And then moving on to the general fund, the general fund, where the budget is $8,768,265, which is an increase of $735,408 over 2023. And I got just a quick little chart here. This shows you just in terms of the general fund budget, where the revenues are coming from for next year, about 50%, 54% for taxes, 22.7% for intergovernmental revenues, public charges at 16.6%, and then you can see miscellaneous licenses and fines and forfeitures are lower. And then if you want to see, this is quite sensitive apparently. If you just want to see the breakdown by department, just to get a sense as to of our general fund of that 8 million, which departments are the most. Law enforcement's at the top at 20.1%, followed by fire protection, then public works, then admin and recreation. I know I've said this before, but law enforcement is actually a little bit higher percentage of the budget than shown on here, just because the medical claims actually for the PD actually fall under admin services, which is something we got to get fixed in the future, but we didn't want to change it this year. But just throwing that out there. So law enforcement's a little bit higher than the 28.1%, and admin's a little bit less. So just throwing that out there. But so that just gives you a quick overview of the general fund. I don't know if one thing I just wanted to mention too, as far as the levy goes, we're looking at a total levy of $7,959,033, and that's for all the funds and our debt service, which would have a mill rate dropping from $7.20 per 1,000 of assessed value to down to $7.03 per 1,000 of assessed value. That should equate to probably around a 5.5% increase of taxes, assuming that, if the typical homeowner's house went up by their assessed value, if they had an increase in the assessed value by the average, then once you factor in this mill rate, we think it'd be about a 5.5% on average increase for the taxes for next year. So hopefully that gives the public and the council some idea of what that impact will be. Again, it's not going to be uniform. It's going to depend on your own specific circumstances, but those are just some highlights I just wanted to give to the council so you have a little more information. We did, as I mentioned in my memo, the budget book will be finalized by the next meeting, so the council can hopefully vote on the budget next time. So if you have any questions or concerns between now and then, please let me know, and we'll answer them for you.
Any questions on the budget and levy for Adam right now? Okay, we'll move on to discussion regarding proposed 2024-2028 capital improvement plan.
The only thing I was just going to add, and I appreciate Harry mentioning it earlier, but the only real change from the last time you saw the CIP was just that we took off $248,245 in geo debt, and we're planning on funding that with existing reserves in the capital equipment replacement fund, as well as some savings from this year. I don't know if you may have seen in the budget book that right now we're projecting potentially a $650,000 surplus for 23, and that's because we've had so many unfilled positions. The fire department, again, having 6 or 7 open positions for most of the year. The assistant fire chief position was vacant until a couple weeks ago. The PD's had 2 vacancies all year. They've had a CSO position that's been vacant for, so then obviously, and then even here at the city admin building, we've had 2 positions that were vacant for a portion of the year. So all that together, and again, it's hard to kind of project exactly, but we have given it our best estimate. And so our intent is to come back to the council at the end of the year and ask the council to formally approve transferring some of these extra revenues for 23 into the capital equipment funds for next year, and then that will help reduce the amount that we'd have to borrow. So,
okay, any questions for Adam on the capital improvement plan? Well, thank you, Adam. Moving on, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed resolution 23-26, a resolution to adjust residential solid waste recycling and yard waste collection fee. Matt, got a memo in the packet?
I could start anywhere that you guys would like to. I can go through the rates, the proposed rate structure, if that's the best place to start. So these rates were based off of the new contract with Badgerland, which is an LRS company. So that's where these top two numbers came from, 182 and 427. So this is recycling, and then this is refuse. Again, this is just strictly from the 2024 contract structure from LRS or Badgerland. Then we move down to the next one. This is compost. This is for the spring and summer months. And then when you get down to this next one here, it's for 9 weeks. This is for the fall months, during which we're now obviously with leaf collection. So that requires more pickups with the roll-offs that are at our shop at the DPW facility. And we have an estimated tonnage to dispose of it. There was a slight uptick in the wages. We were using 40,000 for past years. We bumped that to 55 with city performing leaf collection starting this calendar year. And then also with that in mind, we did have an uptick of 3,500 for leaf collection. Honestly, these numbers are probably pretty conservative. I think you guys have all seen our crews around town picking up leaves, and to have it set at 55 is probably on the lower side, but I think that considering, you know, that the rate adjustment is somewhat significant, honestly, that it kind of keeps things in a gradual progression. So we have an annual grant that we get, so this kind of accounts for everything. And with that in mind, it would get you to $19.85 per month, per user, per customer. Our current rate, as I stated in the memo and shown here, is $17.34. This isn't set in stone. It's something for the council to consider. And I'd open it up to any questions or comments. If we'd like to go over the resolution in more detail, we could certainly do that. I know one was brought before council in July that was revised and passed. We included a little bit more detail with the new contract that we have in place now with Badgerland. So things are progressing. We've had good discussions with them, and I think they're going to keep the same days for garbage and recycle. So none of that will change.
Questions for Matt?
Yeah, with this proposal, is this going to build a fund, extra savings for the city, or
Surplus?
surplus? Thank you. It's been a long day. Or is this going to be even going to 1985?
Well, so you're asking if this new monthly rate will balance the budget? Is that what you're asking, that it won't operate as in a deficit anymore?
Or positive?
No, I don't.
Is it going to be even?
Yes, we would have to manage it as such. I mean, like I said, I think if, you know, we're going to try to, we haven't collected leaves internally or, you know, with staff in quite a while. So going into next year will be, you know, as I mentioned in the memo, we should look at this again during the budget process to see where we're at, because we're going to start to obviously keep track of the fuel costs. But I think that we're trying to make it fit the best that we can. I mean, I do think that we probably spend more time than $55,000 annually on not just leaf collection, but compost in general. I mean, we collect, we maintain a compost site, you know, for 9 months out of the year. We do a lot of brush collection in the spring and during the fall with leaf collection. So I'm sure that we're spending more than $55,000 annually, but understanding that only $40,000 was there last year, I think it'd be a significant hike to try to include everything.
Yeah, and just for council's awareness, right now, we've been billing the solid waste fund about $49,000 a year in wages. So the 55 is only slightly more. That's why the solid waste actually went from being, you know, has been operating a deficit the last 6 months or so. So the really only area for or amount of you know, basically we budgeted $6,000 more for wages, and then added the $3,500 for the fuel. We didn't include the cost of the new leaf leaf truck, which is, $400,000. So if you tried to factor that in terms of, we're planning on borrowing for that under the plan that was, under the CIP, we're going to borrow for that. So if you had factored in the annual debt payments with the charges, it would have made the rate go even higher. So we opted to take it out and just focus more on the actual labor and fuel. So we're hopeful that we'll break even, but we aren't anticipating a huge cushion. So
No, it's kind of operating I'll say it bare bones, what we considered in there. So, and next year, again, we should look at it because there is per the contract with LRS, Badgerland, there is a 3% increase. So I would at least expect that for next year. If not, again, once we realize the amount of fuel that we're using and everything else kind of settles out with our new understanding of what the leaf collection impacts are. And I think overall too, what we've heard this year, and I'm not sure what the council has heard, but we've heard a lot of positive feedback with the city handling leaf collection. So I think that's been good.
Council members, anything else? Do we want to make a decision?
I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2326.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 23-26. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ken Minell.
Yes.
Motion passed on Resolution 23-26. Discussion and possible decision regarding execution of memorandum of understanding for salt, brine, and sand purchase for winter maintenance operations with Walworth County Department of Public Works. That was all in your packet.
So the only thing that we get from the county, once we built the new DPW facility and we could store our own salt, we no longer buy it directly from them. So this contract, this MOU, is specific just towards brine and possibly sand if we were ever be in a situation where we needed it. So you'll notice at the bottom, Adam had actually asked me about it earlier, it says, where's the quantity at?
0 tons?
yeah.
Yeah.
Zero tons of salt?
Yeah,
Item
that's how
6.
much we're getting.
Go
zero
back, go
tons.
back down. Item 6. Number 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0, there it is. I was looking for the 0, but it's actually spelled out, yeah. So, for what it's worth.
Just to clarify, they want us to sign this contract because they say it pertains to brine, even if it largely just talks about salt. So, and Ward actually gets the credit for that. He asked me that early this morning. First thing was why it said 0. So that's why I asked Matt.
Council members? Any questions or decision?
I make a motion to enter an agreement with the county under the MOU that Matt wrote for us.
We have a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding from the county. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion passed on memorandum of understanding with the county for salt, brine, and sand purchased.
I just noticed something, and maybe just super minor, maybe a Scrivener's error, as you often say. The bottom of the agreement says it was approved by David Brettel, who's the corporation counsel, and it was approved in 2019. No, neither one of those things are in effect right now. He's been long gone, so do they need to amend that to say the current?
I could definitely reach out.
I'm just asking,
Yeah, this is approved, I'm sure back in, was he there in 2019?
Sure.
So that was
But,
approved.
but I'm saying
Probably
it
the
was
same
modified
form.
on 2019. Is this the exact same document as in 2019? That's what I'm asking. If it's
Yeah,
been
it's
modified at
definitely-
all, we should change that, no?
Sorry, it's definitely,
Their footer.
sorry?
Is it their footer?
Yeah, it's in their footer. Yeah.
So it's not a big deal.
No,
Okay.
it's not important, and it actually is definitely a form contract. There's no
Okay.
doubt about that.
Okay.
Okay, motion passed. Next, we'll adjourn into closed session, and we will reconvene in open session for possible action on closed session items. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn into closed session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will go into closed session.
Okay, so we have reconvened in open session. It is 6:43 PM.
Okay, first thing for open session is discussion and possible decision regarding offer to purchase a parcel of property at 113 North Wisconsin Street.
I'll make a motion to not make an offer on that parcel.
We have a motion to deny the offer.
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Motion passed on denying the offer to purchase parcel of property at 113 North Wisconsin. Discussion and possible decision regarding offer to purchase a parcel of city property, lot 90 in the business park. Tax key YA 414900001.
What I heard referenced in closed session was that we would authorize staff to give authority to the outside counsel who'd made a recommendation to us to negotiate that claim within their recommended levels.
No, hold on. We're not on claims yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You get to repeat that in a minute.
We're at the,
Okay, sorry.
we're on
But I'm
the,
rushing along here.
we're city property we're selling.
Okay, so we wanted to accept the offer with the contingency that we would create an option after a three-year window where we would be able to repurchase the property.
At the same price.
Yep.
As sold.
Who would like to accept that motion?
I'll do it.
Gary?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We have any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion passed to accept the offer to purchase lot number 90 with what the city attorney has stated in there. Next, we have discussion of possible decision regarding personal injury claims. First claim is an ambulance claim.
Hey, Ward, you're up.
Well, yes. Do you want me to say that again?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. What I understand is the motion's going to be to authorize staff to contact outside counsel who made the recommendation to the city council and authorize them to negotiate within the parameters that they recommend.
Yes. That is my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for this first personal injury claim. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ken Minell.
Yes.
Motion passed on the ambulance personal injury claim. Next, we have a personal injury claim for a cut hand. Do I have a,
I would make a motion to deny for the cut hand.
we have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
Motion passed to deny the personal injury claim for the cut hand. Next, I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.